You are sitting in the doctor's office, waiting for your test results. She comes in and says, "You have Parkinson's disease," and your heart starts sinking. You think about everything that will go wrong. You think you will be unable to walk, unable to feed yourself, your hands trembling, mouth drooling, and unable to swallow. But before you say anything, she says, "Sorry, not to worry. We will put in an order for your cells right today." So, what happens? You come back a week later, and a surgeon transplants brand new neurons into your brain. You have just received an on demand functional cure for Parkinson's disease made from your own cells. Now, it sounds like science fiction, but in the future, we will all have the option of having our stem cells banked ahead of time so that anytime you need new neurons, new muscle cells, new skin cells, they would be generated from this bank. And because they are 100% your own cells, immune systems is extremely unlikely to reject or attack those cells. I would say, in fact, the body has no idea that these cells were actually made in a cell factory. Now, all of this is possible because of a breakthrough at the intersection of biology, laser physics, and machine learning. So, we will start with biology. Now, the human body is an absolute miracle. Trillions of cells are working in synchronicity to pump blood, to secrete dopamine, and let me see around and speak to you right now. But as we age, our cells age too. So that's why our skin starts to sag, our cartilage wears away, and your 5 mile run might turn into a 20 minutes walk. Yes, we are all getting older. Our bodies are taking time bombs. But these stem cells could offer a solution because one stem cell, remember, just one stem cell can become almost any cell in your body. Now, I remember my mom passed away due to brain cancer in 2018. Now, if the technology were available at that time, we could have used her stem cells to generate new brain cells, and it could have cured her, at least in theory. But now, stem cells are unfortunately notoriously difficult to engineer. This is one fact that we know for sure. One fundamental problem relates to how they are made. It involves taking a patient blood cells and you add certain chemicals to those blood cells to turn them into stem cells. Now, during this chemical process, you never end up with a perfect set of stem cells. In fact, you get a very messy plate of cells going in different directions. There are like a lot of cells, some going towards the eye, towards the brain, towards the liver, like randomly in almost every direction. And every random cell must be removed. Now, until recently, the main way to remove these random cells was only by hand. I remember a few days ago, I saw a documentary made at the Harvard Stem Cell Institute on YouTube, and I watched a highly skilled scientist sitting at a bench looking at stem cells. He was evaluating them one at a time and removing those unwanted cells by hand. By hand means like using his hand to use all that like microprocessors. Now, it's a slow and tedious and artisanal process. That's why generating a personalized stem cell bank today costs about $1 million. Yes, $1 million. Now, using a donor stem cells is much cheaper, but your immune system would likely attack or reject those cells unless and until you take certain class of drugs, which is known as immunosuppressants, which I think unfortunately is not an option for a lot of people, especially the elderly population. Now, to avoid this problem, some scientists are banking stem cells from those individuals who have got the most common genetic backgrounds. So let's say, make it easy. Let's say we make a cell bank with 100 of the most common cell lines. Now, this could work for about 75% of Caucasians, 50% of African Americans, but then it starts getting harder. I'm a South Asian, and it's unclear if I would be ever covered by this type of stem cell bank. And regardless, if you could choose between using a stranger's cells versus your own cells, wouldn't you choose your own cells? Definitely you would. So, personalized stem cells are an opportunity to make medicines that truly work for me, that truly works for you, and for everyone. And in order to make this process of stem cell production uh, affordable and scalable, I think we have to automate this process. Different people are taking different approaches to doing that, and one of them is through physics. Now, I'm a doctor, and despite being a doctor, I am a die-hard physics fan as well. Gazing at the stars, daydreaming about space, and time travel have been my hobbies. I thanks my late mom for not thinking that I was weird. Then the other part of equation comes from biology and physiology as well. And here's why. Uh, Scientists are always looking for ways to make biology more precise. So sometimes cell culture can feel a lot like cooking. Like you take some chemicals, you put it in a pot, you stir it, you heat it, and see what happens. And then you try it all over again. Now, in contrast, in physics, lasers, which are part of the physics world, are so precise. My God, they're so precise. You can target one cell in millions at precise intervals, like every second, every minute, every hour, you name it. And now it's been realized that instead of doing this tedious process of stem cell culture by hand, we can actually use lasers to remove these unwanted cells. And to automate the entire process, uh, scientists have decided to use machine learning to identify those unwanted cells and zap them. So, algorithms today are quite great at finding useful information, useful images, and making this a perfect use case for machine learning. And let me explain how it works. You take some blood, you put it in a cassette, and then you add different chemicals to those blood cells, which turns them into stem cells, like always. So now what you do, now instead of having a human look for those unwanted cells which go in different directions and remove them by hand, so what the machine does, the machine identifies the unwanted cells, that the laser identifies those and zaps them. So what happens? You see, the entire process happens by machine. So the computer decides when and how often to print these cells and uses a fully automated algorithm based system to run the process. So after repeated pruning, you end up in a perfect culture of your stem cells. And these stem cells are ready to be banked and used at any time, whenever you want it. So in the future, we are going to have stem cell farms with stacks and stacks and stacks of hundreds and then eventually millions of cassettes. And each of these cassettes would be a personalized bank for one human. So nurses would take a sample of your cord blood right at the time of birth and shipped off for cultivation, so that for the rest of your life, your stem cells are on a file, they are banked, they are ready to go should any medical need arise in future. So let's say sometime in future you develop a heart disease. So your doctor can then order up new heart cells. Yes, ordering up new heart cells. You've got hair loss, they can order up new hair rather than having hair transplant. So the most immediate application of this technology is for implants. Dr. Kapil Bharti research at the National Eye Institute, United States of America. He has carried out a breakthrough clinical trial for a stem cell derived therapy for blindness. And as far as I know, um, I guess as the process becomes cheaper, scientists can run larger and larger clinical trials at a scale to develop new treatments that don't exist today. Because what costs $1 million today will soon be probably less than $50,000, and then even cheaper with time. Now it gets even more interesting than that. Perhaps you might have longevity in mind. Yes, that is certainly a possibility. You can live longer as well. Now, in the future, we might use these cells exactly to generate entire new organs, new tissues, new skin, new bone, new teeth, anything. This technology also has the potential to revolutionize personalized pharmaceuticals. Like today, taking medicine is to some degree trial and error. You don't really know if the drug is going to work for you until you put it in your body. Hmm? But what? If we had a miniature human replica of you, yes, you with your cells, your eye cells, your brain cells, your heart cells, your muscle cells, your blood cells, and all this mini replica on a chip. Yes, a miniature human replica of you on a chip. So we could take the drugs, we could test them on the cells in the lab first, see how it works, whether it works for you or not. So if it works, fantastic. You go ahead and you take the drug. But if it doesn't, then pharmacists can order up custom drugs just for you, something that only works for you. Now, this has been the hope and dream of scientists for decades. And with this technology of stem cell culture, stem cell farming, we can finally realize the true potential of stem cells on demand, or on demand functional cures made from your own cells. Cures that your body won't reject. Cures that truly work for everyone. The future of regenerative medicine is 100% personalized in this way. And it's a lot closer than you think. And that's all for today. If you like my talks, please do consider subscribing and share it with your friends. I am Dr. Kazmi. Have a very good day. Bye bye.